We got a loaded show coming up for you guys on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And my name is Patrick Siepman. So starting off, we're going to talk about what Drew Brees had to say about JJ McCarthy's game against the Washington Commanders. He was on the call for this game and gave some love to number 9 after the matchup. And then also, I do want to talk about the Vikings' playoff chances. Even though they're less than 1%, we'll talk about what needs to happen this weekend for the Vikings to stay alive. And then with Justin Jefferson having the worst 6-game stretch of his NFL career, I want to give you guys my thoughts on his recent struggles. But let's start off here with Drew Brees. That's what he said about JJ McCarthy after the Commanders game, saying for a guy like JJ McCarthy, this could be a defining moment type of game for him. Just the way that he has come out and found his rhythm so early, hitting a lot of the first and second progressions in rhythm. I think it just reinforces everything that Kevin O'Connell has been preaching to him, and now you're just seeing that come to fruition. I think as he continues to grow and continues to improve, I think it's the layered balls, those second and third ball throws into the middle of the field, where you're dropping it over the backer in front of the safety. That's where he can make the biggest strides as he continues to grow as a young quarterback in this league. And this is a great insight from Brees, because this is also what we have been talking about with JJ McCarthy since he's honestly been drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. It's those layered throws. Now, obviously, we know JJ's got a hell of an arm. He has a lot of zip on that ball. I mean, TJ Hawkinson was comparing him to Matthew Stafford in terms of the velocity that JJ has on his throws, but he does struggle just layering the football, dropping them in over the linebacker, between the safety, over the middle of the field, and that's where we've seen this Vikings offense struggle, because we obviously know Kevin O'Connell, he wants to run those deep in-breaking routes to Jefferson, to Addison, with McCarthy, and even a guy like Brosmer struggling to hit those throws consistently. That's why we've seen this Vikings offense struggle. But I also thought JJ took a huge step versus the Washington Commanders. He did have the third highest passer rating in the entire NFL this past week, which is a credit to number 9, also a credit to your head coach, Kevin O'Connell, for getting this guy in rhythm, getting him his confidence built early on in that game. And I love that first drive where the Vikings came out, they're running the football, they went 5 wide, just ran all hitches, getting JJ McCarthy an easy one early on in that game just to get him in the flow of that game versus Washington. So he took a huge step. But also, what's so exciting, in my opinion, for Vikings fans is that there's so much room for improvement for JJ McCarthy. We are just scratching the surface on what he can truly be in the NFL. I still fully believe in McCarthy as a player, as a prospect, and just as a dude in this locker room. And if he can just build off what he had against the Commanders, he's got that big-time arm, he's got some really good athleticism, he can still be a guy here and potentially the franchise quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. So I am not moving off this take. I am sticking with it. I still believe in JJ McCarthy being the guy for the long-term future for this franchise. He's a hell of a quarterback, in my opinion. He just needs to develop. Again, be patient, Vikings fans. He's 22 years old. He's only played 7 games so far, but I do think the biggest concern with McCarthy is not the on-the-field stuff. It's the off-the-field. You got to stay on the field with all these injuries. It's definitely a red flag, but I just think once he gets more reps under his belt, once he gets more experience, he would turn out to be the franchise quarterback for the Vikings. But obviously understand that a lot of you guys disagree with that. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you believe in JJ McCarthy? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, so we're going to be talking about now how the Vikings can get eliminated from playoff contention this weekend, and it starts off, obviously, against the Dallas Cowboys. The Vikings obviously have to win this matchup. Even if they tie against the Cowboys, they will be eliminated, or also the Bears just getting a win at home versus the Cleveland Browns. So this is the biggest kicker here. The Bears are 7-point favorites against the Browns. If the Vikings can handle their own against the Dallas Cowboys, they could be eliminated before this game even gets underway in Dallas. So they're going to need the Cleveland Browns defense, Myles Garrett, to have a great game this Sunday to keep them alive. And then they're also going to need a Lions win, or they can't have a Lions win against the Rams. So shout out to Matthew Stafford, shout out to Shedeur Sanders, and hopefully JJ McCarthy can get a win. But, the Vikings, it starts off with them getting in the playoffs. They're going to have to win out. Obviously. They already have 8 losses on the year. It's going to be hard for a 9-win team to get into the playoffs with how deep the NFC is. But if the Vikings can somehow shock the world, go into Dallas, get a win, and they beat the Giants, and they shock the world again against the Lions, and you somehow beat the Packers, if they go 4-0, they would have a small chance, but they're going to have to get some help, obviously, along the way. And it would be the most Vikings finish ever to a season. If the Vikings somehow win out and miss the playoffs, wouldn't that be a perfect cherry on top for this disastrous season for the Minnesota Vikings, where they hurt their draft stock, they hurt their capital that they're going to have in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round in the NFL draft? and they went out, but they still missed the playoffs. That would be the most Vikings finish to the year. But you're also going to need the Bears if you do want a chance to, pretty much you need the Bears to lose out here. They're already at 9 wins on the season, so you need the Bears to not win another game. But also, that's on the table. Like, I understand the Bears are having a great year. I love what Ben Johnson's doing over there in Chicago, but if they somehow lose to the Browns, these next 3 games, with the pressure added on Chicago, they could lose these matchups. Like, the Packers, they own that franchise. I would fully expect Green Bay to walk into Chicago and get a win. Then they're on the road Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, and we will need the Lions to beat the Bears this in the last Week 18 game. So if that all happens, then it leads up to the Detroit Lions, where obviously the Vikings are going to have the Lions lose 3 straight games. They're going to have to lose to the Rams, lose to the Steelers, and obviously lose to the Vikings, but then they will have to beat the Chicago Bears. So simple as this. Vikings win out. Bears lose out. Lions lose their next 3 games, but they beat the Chicago Bears. Vikings are in the playoffs. Extremely unlikely, but there's an outside chance. I mean, it's the NFL world. You still got 4 games left. A lot can be left on the table here. I just hope from the Viking side of things that we're entering that Sunday night game against the Cowboys with still our playoff hopes alive. So we need a win from the Rams, need a win from the Cleveland Browns. But I'll ask you guys this. What would your one-word reaction be if the Vikings made the playoffs? Kind of chalk answer to this one. Mine would just be shocked. I just don't think it's too likely that the Vikings do make the playoffs. But if you guys could get creative for me down below in the comment section, what would be your one-word reaction if the Vikings do make the playoffs? But before we dive into what Justin Jefferson's been going through over the last 6 games, I do want to give a massive, massive shout out to today's sponsor, and it is a shaving company called Harry's. And for a limited time, our listeners here at Vikings Now can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. Now, I've used other razors in the past, and I wasn't the biggest fan because sometimes these other razors would irritate my neck, and also the razor would become way too dull, way too fast. But that's not the case at Harry's. Harry's Plus isn't just a razor. It's the centerpiece of a full grooming lineup from shave gel to body wash, all designed with the same attention to detail. And my first time shaving with Harry's Plus, I was completely blown away, completely changed how I viewed shaving my face every single day. And everything at Harry's is delivered straight to your door from Harry's own factory to your bathroom. There's no middlemen, no markups, just premium gear on your schedule. So for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. All right, let's talk about Justin Jefferson and, the lack of connection he has with JJ McCarthy. And, right now here are season averages with JJ, 4 receptions a game, 7.5 targets, only averaging 47 yards per game. So keep in mind, Jefferson, heading into the season, his career averages for yards per game was 97.3. That was the highest in NFL history by a wide margin. Second on that list was actually Jamar Chase. Third was Julio Jones. Both were around 86, 87 yards per game. So Jefferson had a 10-yard lead on those guys in terms of most receiving yards per game in NFL history. That kind of speaks to how special 18 was for the start of his career. But with JJ, it hasn't been the case. And this would be a 17-game pace with JJ McCarthy. Incredibly concerning. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to have a guy like Justin Jefferson go out there and have, 1 less yard than 700 on a season and only having 5 touchdowns. So obviously, JJ and JJ, they need to work on that connection. And I think people also saying Jefferson was, fine with what happened against the Washington Commanders, which may be true. Jefferson was probably happy that his teammates and this team got a big-time win against Washington. But I also think it would be naive to say that Jefferson only cares about winning football games. Yes, that is probably his top priority about what he cares about. He wants the Vikings to be a successful team, but obviously he's a competitor. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. He wants to go kill DBs over and over and over again, and he hasn't been able to do that because of the shaky quarterback play. This has nothing to do with Justin Jefferson. Yes, is he the same guy that he was back in 2022, even last year in 2024 season where he was one of the most dominant non-quarterbacks in the league? Not necessarily, but even Jefferson playing at 95% of his full potential is still by far the best receiver in the National Football League, and he's got to be better during the last 6 games of the season. And I will say, Jefferson, I'm taking on producer Dylan in the fantasy football playoffs here at the Chat Sports Studios. I would very much appreciate if he would have a 150-yard game and 2 touchdowns this weekend. That would be awesome. It'd just be better than what you've been during the last 6 games. I mean, 2 receptions, 11 yards against the Commanders, 2 for 4 against the Seahawks, 4 for 48, 5 for 61, 4 for 37, 6 for 47. These are Jalen Naylor-esque numbers from Justin Jefferson over the past 6 games, so it's got to be better. But also Jefferson, he should have a big game this Sunday night versus the Cowboys. Jefferson's a big game player. He's been a big game player throughout his entire playing career. I mean, if you guys even remember back at LSU with Joe Burrow in the college football semifinal, this mother effer had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half of that game. He dominated. He's a big-time player. He's going to step up. He's going to play a good game in the, probably some of the brightest lights on the NFL stage, Sunday Night Football in Dallas, taking on the Cowboys. 18 is going to be fired up, and I would assume that Kevin O'Connell and his coaching staff and JJ McCarthy, they will have a plan to get 18 to football. I will be shocked if we leave this game and Jefferson's not getting 10-plus targets. Hopefully he gets around 7 catches. Hopefully, eclipses over 100 yards in this game. I would be shocked if he has another game like he's had over the last 6, where it's just around 5 catches for 50 yards, about the averages. I expect Jefferson to have a massive game against the Dallas Cowboys, and he needs to if the Vikings are going to have any chance to win this game on Sunday night. So if you guys made it to the end of today's show, appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Just hit me with those skulls down below in the comment section. We'll be live later today on the channel for a mailbag and a couple of other segments, so tune in then. But shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. As always, Skol Vikes.